Welcome to Let's Talk Antigonish, the podcast where we sit down with neighbors, experts, and friends to explore the stories, the questions, and the big little issues that shape life in our town, one conversation at a time. Today we're speaking with Cory Austen, principal of the Dr. John Hugh Gillis Regional High School. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Let's Talk Antigonish. It's me, Justin.
And this is Anuj.
Hello, Anuj. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you, sir?
Cold. So we are here today with Cory Austen, the principal of the Dr. John Hugh Gillis Regional High School.
Wow.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, Cory.
Welcome.
So, Dr. J. So we are just going to pepper you with questions that the public has about the high school. A lot of us here in the public have kids or family members in the high school, which means we hear lots about what is going on. But, you know, it's all filtered through the lens of a kid. And
there are many who don't have kids at school, and they would love to hear what's happening at the school.
Yeah, so there's all sorts of exciting questions we're going to be asking you today. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay.
This is not an exam.
It is. There will be a quiz at the end just for you.
Ooh, I hope I can pass.
To retain your position as principal. Otherwise, Anuj takes over. Okay. We'll start off with this one then. The cell phone ban. So if I've got my facts straight, in September 24, there was a cell phone ban in all of Nova Scotia. Is that right?
That's right, yeah.
And so the question is, what does that actually mean, and how has that been working out?
So I'd start with it's overall very positive. And I think maybe cell phone ban is not the best way to put it, but so for example, schools have a little bit of interpretation on their own. So cell phone ban in classroom instruction time, yes. For example, at Dr. John Hugh Gillis, we do allow students to have cell phones, but during instructional time, no. On their transition time, lunches, recess, yes.
Okay.
Some other schools are a little more strict on that. There's like no cell phones.
Yeah. And does that mean like when they walk into a classroom, they put it in a cell phone holder, or you just say like, hey, keep it in your backpack?
So again, every kind of classroom looks a little bit different. Some teachers are like, yep, put it in the hotel or whatever they want to call it. I think they're like shoe holders. Like they put that up on the wall. But so that is the expectation, that it's like, if you can't, trust yourself, then park it. If not, it has to be out of sight in your bag and away. And like I said, for us, like overall has been very positive. We've been battling, like since I've been in high school, like battling that issue with the distraction of the cell phone. So we're finding students more focused, more engaged with that little change. I think it's a big change, but a very positive one.
Yeah. Have you got data to show like tests or like people are performing better, or is it just more like qualitative, like the teachers say things are better in the classroom?
Yeah, qualitative, and just the level of like redirection from teachers or from staff. What I can say as a principal, like in little incidents where, we deal with some stuff, and we still do, it's just not as much. So I can comment on the amount of, how do I say this? Inappropriate kind of communication students are doing over different social media apps during instructional time, whether it's like individuals or within groups.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it creates a bit of a mess, and it kind of disrupts the operations of the school. So those have been limited because students aren't communicating as much during class time. And then next thing you know, they're out of the class, and then they're here, and then some kind of incidents created. But
if I may just quickly ask you to, for somebody who's new to town, just explain what high school is. How many students? When was it formed?
Our high school?
okay.
Yes, okay.
Pretend you're an alien being. You've just dropped down. What is the high school? Who's at it? How many kids? What's going on?
Okay, so we are a grade 9 to 12 high school. We're the biggest school in the region, so in the straight regional that covers from part of Cape Breton all the way to about Pictou County. So grade 9 to 12. I looked today, so we're 806 students. So on average, we're about 200 students per grade level. So, and then after that, we have about 59 and a half teachers.
59 and a half teacher. I want to hear about this half teacher.
We can get into that later. Yeah, it's just the way the numbers work out. But, you get another half somewhere else. And
yeah.
But,
like part-time, obviously. Yeah.
And
is it growing? Is it stable? Is it?
It's stable. I think COVID, we saw numbers increase, and I think we're seeing them kind of slowly increase. I think we have the population, I would say overall in Antigonish is growing. That's my observation. Right. And within the school, it's not declining.
Okay.
I can say that. So, our student body is, we're 804.
Girls and boys?
It's about even. Yeah. I don't have the exact number on that.
Right.
We've, like I said, 59 and a half teachers, but overall, like staff is about 100.
Okay.
With all the different like TAs and Nova Scotia Health and the other people that are kind of in and out of the building, custodians. So that's what we're running at for numbers.
So we'll talk then about staffing, because that is an issue that crops up in the news. The last newsletter that I had before this interview was from December, when the SRCE was mentioning that they had a number of vacancies, like you're still trying to fill vacancies, and then also the teachers union said that the teacher shortage provincially was dire. So what are you seeing here in terms of shortages or problems filling?
Right now for us, we do have a luxury, I think, in Antigonish, and in my position anyway. When I was a vice principal at the regional, I was the vice principal. Part of my job was filling substitute teachers. So when a teacher's out sick or I'm filling that position. What I have found here, it was quite easy to fill those jobs. So, we'd have a number of substitutes out for whatever reason, especially coming out of COVID. There were some certain rules in place. But here in Antigonish, there seems to be more of a pool of teachers.
Okay. And
even like when we're filling a term position, maybe it's a pregnancy leave or whatever it is, we've been okay. So we've been lucky. Where I think you might find some challenges as you get out in the more kind of like
remote areas.
So I worked in Canso, for example. I was the principal down in Canso for a couple of years. Wonderful school. But it was more of a challenge. You can imagine, getting a substitute sometimes. Once you got above the threshold of like one or two teachers out, then you're struggling to fill someone.
So the dire doesn't necessarily apply to Antigonish region.
In my experience at the regional, we've been very lucky. Yeah, we've been very lucky.
Can you say a little bit more? Antigonish in some ways is quite different from many other places. You have hospital, you have university, you have Cory Institute. You have much more diverse population, professionals, and otherwise. How does that, play into whom you recruit and the students?
Well, I think it just adds to the diversity of our school. And, I think one of the questions when you guys, before we said that, what is the state of our school or how is our school? I think we're very privileged to have the high school that we have in Antigonish. And, most schools are like a reflection of the community they're in, right? So, we're a mirror of our own community. So that is the hospital, that is the university, that is the trades folks, the fishing, the farming history here. So it's I feel like we're lucky, we're privileged to have, we have a strong community. I think part of that is, having a strong school, or a more diverse school. So yeah, that's my take on that.
Right. And having those diverse background among students and probably among teachers, how does that play out in the school? Are they a farmer's child or a doctor's child?
It's everything, right? So I have a little bit of an interesting lens on this because I worked 15 years in a private system.
Right.
And I came back.
And that was in Mexico initially?
It was Mexico. I was in South Korea, and I was in the Middle East. I was in Kuwait for a few years. So all private schools, a different experience, a wonderful experience. But, coming home, Antigonish is home to me. I went to the regional. Everybody goes to public school here. So, it doesn't matter who you are or where you come from or, everyone's going to the public school. And what I love about Canada is public school is as good as most of the private school that I have ever worked at. So I'd have no hesitation to, put
That's
my
good
kids.
To know.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like part of the reason we moved home is we wanted to give my own kids a public school experience, right? Like they had access to a nice private school, but I can tell you that what we have here is as good as any. And and I say that with confidence, and it's true. Like I want my kids to go to a public school, and the schools here, whether it's the AEC or the junior school, and then feeding into the high school, they're phenomenal schools. And like you said, the diversity of our community makes that better, makes it richer. So, we have, I think in this town we do have a high expectation when it comes to education, not just higher education, but education within to the trades. Some of the programs I can talk about too is just, I think our trades-based programs within high school are flourishing. And, those have come from a need in certain industries and sectors to
Such
say,
as what?
skilled trades. So like any type of skilled trades program that you may go off and then, you either
Like
carpentry, plumbing, any of the
you
trades.
have classes associated with that? Plumbing?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Say a bit more. Yeah.
Okay, so I can talk about some of our programming. So we have a program, a skilled trades program. So it's a trades-based program where students get to experience a number of the trades. One of the skilled trades, so skilled trades 10, for example, the curriculum's based around giving them a taste of like electrical, plumbing, carpentry. So, for example, one of the semester-long projects is building basically like what they call like a hotel. So they frame it, they put like windows in it, they drywall it, they put in like a bathtub, a toilet, they wire it, they do a little bit of
All
soldering.
trades get into that. Okay.
All of it. And then that feeds into a construction trades 11, and then that can later feed into a co-op program in 11 or 12. So they can say, well, you know what? I want to go like apprentice with an actual plumber. So they have to do 80 hours with a plumber or 80 hours with at the hospital, in healthcare.
And
it doesn't
what
just have to be trades based.
What percentage of students would opt for those kind of?
So I can give exact numbers. Those classes are capped just because you're in a shop, you're in a skilled trades center.
You can't have 300 people swinging a hammer.
And so, for safety reasons and programming, it's capped at 16. But we offer like multiple sections of it. So right now we do a section first semester and second semester. So it'd be 32, and that's a grade 10 specific course, but it's a prerequisite to like some of the trades-based course in grade 11. So they can go from that to construction trades, which is a continuation, or they can go into transportation trades. So we have a full car shop in our school.
Wow.
And it's cool. I gave a tour to, sometimes we'll have like prospective, like doctors that might be, or registered, that are coming to town and they want to see the school. They have kids. So, naturally they want to see a tour of the school. So I've done a couple with people coming from all over. And this one was particularly from the States. And after I gave a tour of the school, they were like blown away by the different programs and spaces that we had in our school compared to what they were used to in the States. And I was kind of like, okay.
I thought this was normal.
Yeah, like our school
And
is...
were they also asking about IB and,
Yeah.
I have a question about IB, actually.
And
But
again-
can I go back to the trades first?
Yeah.
Because I'm curious as to how this fits into the NSCC. Because if you do all this, like, can you bypass that, or do you get credit? Or?
So it works right into it. So that's our skilled trades. We have another program that starts in grade 10. It's application. It's competitive. So in grade 9, they kind of make a decision if they want to apply. It's called the Options and Opportunity. It has an acronym. I know listeners maybe don't love education acronyms, but
all acronyms are terrible.
yeah. So that's why I'm saying Options and Opportunity, and it's part of the Youth Pathways O2, Options and Opportunity. So again, it's I don't want to say it's just trades based because part of that is, again, it's career exploration. And definitely part of to graduate with an options opportunity kind of certificate, you have to do multiple co-ops. But traditionally, it's kind of been seen as trades-based. But we had a student work with, I had a note here. I think it was, what was it? It was like space, like engineering science. Worked with a firm in Halifax last year. So like they're not just going, it's very diverse. But part of that options opportunity, the pathway is, they do get a seat held in certain courses in SCC.
Cool. All right.
So, yeah.
And I'm going to piggyback on your IB question because that was
Please do.
one of mine. So the International Baccalaureate,
Yep.
My daughter is in that program, as are all of my nieces and nephews.
Yep.
And I find that there's a lot of people from abroad that end up in IB because and if you end up with an IB degree, you can get into universities globally more easily than trying to
Yes.
transfer just a basic high school thing.
Yep.
So tell us about that program and tell us about the kind of kids that end up in it and why.
And when did you start that?
Sorry,
When
when
did
did
you
we start? I'd have to look at the date,
Never mind,
but
okay.
that's
Sure,
been a
sure.
while. It's well before I
It's a very
came here.
mature program.
Yeah. And so the International Baccalaureate program is recognized, and that's you can that's commonly, I guess, offered in some of the private schools around the world, and then when universities see it internationally, it's recognized. I took a few notes on the program, like how many students are in it. So there's two types of IB. There's a full diploma, and there's a certificate. So the full diploma, we have about, in total in grade 11 and 12, we have 30 students. So, I said before, there's about 200 students per grade level. So that's an appropriate percentage. And then in the certificate, which is like a student that's taking like 1 to 3 courses, that's about another 33, 35 students. So you have a full diploma, they graduate with that kind of IB recognition, and then you have a certificate, which is recognition, but you kind of didn't do the full. And I would say these students or this program is almost 100% like university prep. Not always. Some students decide they want to go a different path, but it's rigorous. It's a little more, I guess, independent. The style of it's just a different way to deliver curriculum.
Yeah. And what about sports or arts or theater? How do they pan out?
Are you speaking within the IB program or just general in our
generally
school?
in the high school.
Yeah. So another strong factor within our school is our arts and sports. I'll start with sports maybe. So we have a variety of sports. There's almost something for everyone, and I find every year that I've been at the school, something new is added. So this year, for example, we have a wrestling team and a team that some of them will compete provincially. We haven't had that before. We're adding table tennis. Last year we added boys volleyball.
Just a fun fact, I played national table tennis in India.
That's
Sorry,
right. He's
go
a
ahead.
fan. And
Hey.
I wrestled in high school.
Oh,
so
wow.
it looks like
I
you
can
got,
do volunteer coaching, but anyway.
We're
Yeah,
looking for a coach.
Oh, Anuj, for real. Like he's a
I have a job.
world
I have a
class.
job.
Yeah.
Okay,
You finally hear doing
I'm
something
serious.
worthwhile for once.
Exactly. Sorry.
I'm serious. We're looking for a coach. But so our sports are strong. We have. I will say too, like what's interesting coming out of COVID, we found some of our. I don't know if it's the right way to say it, but I call them sometimes fringe sports that aren't, I guess, in Antigonish, hockey. So like rugby or this wrestling or sometimes I don't know that they're not as popular. They don't have like community development sometimes.
Things, yeah.
So, but they pop up in school. COVID had a hard kind of time on those, and so they're just starting to come back. So, we had a rugby team before, but it took 2 or 3 years to kind of come out of COVID. And now we went from like kind of a few people in the field. Now we're competing. And
Just in COVID, one of the things that you often or sometimes hear is the social skills of children who were part of COVID.
yeah,
Our son was teaching in US and talked a lot about how the skills they have or had, is very different. What is your sense on that? Are we past that, or are we still in that?
I have like my own ideas. I have nothing to back it up. Is like all I can say is like I absolutely know COVID had I would say a drastic effect on some of our students, and it is social. And it's not just social. It's I think it's hard to measure really the impact that it's had. It's something that's like I have a hard time articulating. It's noticeable, but I don't know how to. You can't. It's difficult to prove. I'm sure there's research out there, but within the school, I think you see it, but it's hard to kind of articulate.
Yeah. So COVID kids are struggling in some way, but you can't really put your finger on it.
Yeah. But I also feel like we're out of it. We're coming out of it, and people, we're through it. But it's just I don't know how to measure it. I don't know how to I can't even really truly comment on it. But
Sorry for the digression. Sorry.
No,
Go
it's
ahead.
okay.
Oh, that was good.
But back to I guess we were talking about sports. I just think there's lots to offer, and that's where I see a lot of our students shine, right? Like part of the fun for them coming to school is being with their friends and their teammates, and then switching over from sports is our arts. I see it with we have a phenomenal band program. We've got band kids, and they're in the music room steady, and they you can.
Is it a compulsory thing, or or every child is given a instrument, or
No? Well, so you're introduced in possibly grade 9, depends on what courses you get in as elective, like music 9, and then it's kind of scales up like that. If it's your interest and you want to, then once you get into grade 10, 11, 12, you're picking your courses. So if you're someone who wants to take more music, but I will say, you can come in grade 9 barely knowing how to play an instrument, and Miss Bannerman, if you want to learn, you can be playing in our band that's playing at St. FX graduation.
Wow.
Yeah,
in a
shout
couple
out
of years.
to the Bannerman Empire, because they have over the years generated a large number of professional musicians, or at least students who go on to study professionally.
Yeah,
it's punching above its weight, I'd have to say, because of them.
And it's starting, right in our school, and Brent before, but it's and then our theater arts. I think I'm not sure. I think you're involved sometimes. But,
Jen Priddle, I help out sometimes doing stuff.
And so folks like Jen Priddle, they're a force when it comes to the arts, and that she brings her passion to our students. And I always tell I love bragging about our arts in our high school, because kids can leave our high school here in Antigonish and go directly into a theater program, and they're prepared. And that's not like that in every school.
So do you get involved in any way with physician recruitment? Because I feel like the fact that there's IB and all the trades and the arts, that it makes this region attractive to a potential healthcare professional interested in moving here. So are you part
professors
or professors or anyone really? Yeah. But
well, I don't get. I guess my involvement there is I try to do my best to sell the school. So when they come in for a tour, I make sure that I'm available. Because I know our community needs. Let's say it's a healthcare worker. I want to make sure that when they see the school, it's a school they want their child to go to. So I make sure that I'm there, and I make sure I give them the best tour I can. And I'm trying.
I'll give you an anecdotal conversation I had with one of the ophthalmologists who is from Nigeria, and she would know who I'm talking about. Studied in UK, came here during COVID.
Yeah.
And we were interviewing her and saying, so what has been, your challenges settling down in this small town community? And we all had our own, answers that we were hoping to hear.
Yeah.
And you know what the answer was?
What's that?
I just was happy when my daughter came back home from school happy.
Yeah.
All right.
That's it.
That's the only
That's the only thing that she talked about.
Nice. Yeah.
And so you realize, how important the kids are for many of these professionals.
100%. That's your whole life is your kids, and your kids' life is school. Therefore,
so
school
no
is
pressure.
So don't drop the ball on this, man.
No, but honestly, that is kind of something we take seriously, right? It's like if kids have to, in order for them to learn, they have to feel comfortable, and they have to like the place they're spending a lot of time in, which is school.
So just on that, maybe a quick question. Diversity is great, but it also poses challenges. We all know this.
Yes.
You have worked in international school system. Justin, you have been all over the world. How do you kind of square the positivity of diversity with some of the tensions and stresses that brings in your school system?
It's a tricky question.
Yeah, but give us anecdotes.
Yeah. So, I think of some of our I think one of them is just being empathetic and, trying to have an understanding for what some of our families are going through. I can give an example without saying a whole lot, but I'll take some of our Ukrainian students, for example. Sometimes I have to remind people, or maybe they don't understand, that not only are some of our kids sitting in a class surrounded by people they don't necessarily know, but they're getting to know. The language isn't quite there yet. they're working very hard because they're motivated. They want to do well in school. But meanwhile, their parents will tell you that they're also doing school in Ukraine. So they're continuing their studies so that they can get their kind of diploma in
like
Ukraine.
online?
Yes.
I'm aware of that.
I didn't know that. That's
So people forget about that. You know, like our own, you know, some of our own students in their interactions don't realize that. So I was going to bring this up, but part of my job and part of the things I try to remind people is like, whether it's a staff or a student, like you kind of never know, or you can't make assumptions on what's kind of coming through the door. And, you know, you really got to, for me, I just kind of, you know, you just got to be careful because we're complicated people. What you might assume is maybe people are doing well. You just never know. And so
it's a live place every morning.
Yes. And I'll tell you, it's never a dull day at Dr. Donya Gillis.
Sure.
Yeah. Just to quickly add, I think, you know, just to add, there's a war on right now, Ukraine. And the families are facing that every day. And it's not that, you know, children are not getting affected. They may not talk about it.
Yeah.
And so their grandparents and their uncles and aunts who are still there, you know, so people are dealing with a lot, as you rightly say.
Yeah.
Everybody is, not just them.
Yeah.
And so,
but going back to your question is just the challenge of, you know, culturally, like that's something we work through it daily. It's not easy, but I think again, though, it is what makes our community stronger, better.
And how do you prepare the teachers who have so much to take care of, you know, curriculum?
Yeah.
You know, and we hear that, you know, and then on top of that, you know, dealing with diversity and language and all that.
Yeah.
You know, what kind of support?
Well, we there's different support. So whether, you know, we do have someone who we've had to increase, for example, an EAL teacher. So English second language.
Right.
You know, we have a space for that. So that's, even since I've started at the regional, that's increased. You know, it started with, you know, the some of our Syrian students, and then with some of our new Ukrainian students. So we've seen an increase in the need for just support with language. You know, and then sometimes that's as simple as helping teachers translate an assessment.
Right.
With technology now, like you can run an assessment through a translator, Google Translate. And it comes out pretty good.
And you have someone like Desmond from YMCA who kind of also help.
Yeah, so those like community partners are crucial because they're kind of that kind of you know, liaison connection with the family, can go into the family's home where it's not appropriate for a teacher or myself to, you know,
But and I'm just to switch topics since we're running out of time. I want to talk about another thing that's been in the news, the updated code of conduct. So that has to do with news reports about the rise of violence in schools, Canada-wide, but in Nova Scotia. And so they created this new code of conduct that came into effect this year. So could you just tell us what is the updated code of conduct and what problem is it addressing, and has anything changed this year?
And should we reference our interview with Jen Priddle on
that
violence?
was our first interview when it was our pilot episode. We talked with Jen about violence. So she had some anecdotes of violence in schools.
Okay.
that was before the school year started, I think.
Yeah.
So tell us what's happened since then. What is this?
So
what's this?
the school code of conduct, I can comment, I guess. It's simply put, they've come out with a kind of a standardized policy that's province-wide, okay? And really it's basically to establish expectations about what's acceptable behavior. So pretty basic, but it's nice because it outlines it very clearly. But then it gives guidance to people like myself, the principal, or to staff about how you kind of how you implement it. If it comes to it, how you consequence like a student if the behavior expectations aren't being met. And I guess what's nice, as I said, is there was a school code of conduct before, but let's say an incident occurred in a school. You might have one school in another part of the province that would deal with it this way, and then we'd deal with it this way, and then they'd deal with it another way. This guide and this policy, it's a little more clear. It gives some consistency so that if I ever had to talk to another principal, it's pretty clear on how we're going to treat that incident. So that's a really good part of it. The other part, yeah, it's kind of a guiding document. It's very helpful for my position because it's like, here's what's acceptable, and here's what's not. And then here are the kind of consequences that we can apply. For example, I'll give you an easy example we talked about before, the cell phone policy, right? Before, we never had anything in writing or in policy that we could really enforce any rules around it that had any, let's say, teeth. Whereas now we have something that's very clear. It's like, okay, here's what happens with your first offense, second offense, and then here's how we can, if we have to consequence, we can. And you can be consistent, and it helps with conversation. A big thing too with the school code of conduct is we have to pick up the phone and we have to make that call to a parent or a guardian. So it's helpful having that common language conversation with the parent explaining, this is what happened and this is why we may have to apply a consequence. So,
and have you noticed that this has helped?
I think it's the updated version is great. I think it has helped. We've seen it's kind of I don't know if I can say like the policy has reduced incidents, but we've done a lot of work. For example, when this first came out, we did some work with our teachers around like positive behavior reinforcement. Identifying what positive behaviors are, trying to approach it like that, and then kind of explaining that to students too. But I can say if we looked at numbers, our incidences are down. Our parents and community, our guardians have been very supportive. Like, sometimes you have to make that difficult call, but it's always out of like support for that student, right? Like I said, you put 800 students, almost 100 adults in a building, things go pretty well. It's not going to be perfect every day.
And would you say, because the news reports say there was a rise in violence in schools, and have you noticed that is true since your tenure here, or in comparison to the places you worked before? Is there something different about Nova Scotia? Is there more violence? And if there is, what is causing it? Would you guess?
I don't get a sense that there is. I truly don't. And again, sometimes I go back to, I think of my, school days and say, well, there was similar kind of incidents of violence then. I think now, again, with the school code of conduct that we have, things are set out clearly, and there's we follow that consequences when there are. But I don't know. It's hard for me to say if there's more. For us right now, there's not.
Talk to us about cafeteria and food. And the issue of affordability and how, and nutrition and health, how does that function? And where do you source your food from?
So we have I can say, right now the high school is not part of the provincial lunch program, but it's coming. High schools are kind of the last with the, rolling that out. So we're hoping next year that we're part of that. Food in general, our cafeteria service, we have Chartwells. They're a company that run our cafeterias. We have a contract with them as within the region. We have some pretty, like the province came out with some new kind of food guidelines in schools, and they're good. I think they're solid.
In terms of healthy food,
Yes.
local food?
Yeah, for example, like if we're serving a pizza, it has to be on a whole wheat crust. But we have food access. That's one thing I think our region has done well. Like we have access to food everywhere. We have pockets of food. We have, as soon as you walk into the school, there's carts called the breakfast program, grab and go food. 10:30 breaks. There's probably 8 carts throughout our school with grab and go food.
And these are all paid or free?
Free. Yeah. They're just sitting there. So one of the things we people say, it's like, don't be a gatekeeper to food. So these are carts that our community living class, actually, our success in the community class, they help with the carts. So one of their tasks is they kind of, they get some of the food prepped and on the carts, and they collect the carts and they put them out, and so they help with that. And I know I'm going off topic, but I wanted to mention our success in the community class as part of our programs chat, because that's another, I think, program within our school that is very strong. So success in the community, also I think known as community living. So that programming sets students up with just, skills, independence. Some of those students would move on to like CACL, Canadian Association of Community Living. So that was an eye-opener for me coming into a big school and then seeing how that program works and how that staff and how our TAs work with the, students that have various challenges or maybe medical conditions. But another reflection of our community, I think Antigonish is a leader when it comes to programs and organizations like the CACL. But I see within our school that we are a very strong feeder system into that. And I think, again, that's a kind of a reflection of our community. But that is one of the most, I think, not saying I'm proud of, but it's I'm very happy with, because that was something that I missed in some of the other schools I worked at internationally. That was never a part of our schools.
And do you source locally? The contractor, does it source locally, local food, especially during the season? Is that something that you have explored?
The food providers are big truck will come out and drive. It's not so much. I will say it's probably not so much. I think some may be sourced locally, right. But Chartwell's kind of takes over that. They're
And you have no say on that as a principal.
I communicate very close. I have a great relationship with the lady within our school that runs it, we communicate very closely. Like, for example, today we had exams going on in the morning and afternoon, and I was like, look. They have to make profit too, but I was like, we're going to need food. It's not our typical school day. She's like, well, it's like, yeah, no problem. We know you have 2 exams, one in the afternoon, one in the morning. We don't have regular, we have 2 lunches,
right?
Captive audience of 800 students. So, but, they'll say, oh no, of course we'll provide food for kids that are writing exams on that day. But as far as we're not quite there yet, I would say with,
Do we follow up? Okay.
Yeah.
Local stuff.
Yeah.
So most of the stuff that you were talking about is good news, which
Yes.
is great, but you must be facing challenges as a school and as a principal. So what have you identified as your biggest challenges or something that the high school needs to work on or that just needs in general?
I thought about that question. I mean, I knew it was going to come, and I was trying to wrap my head around what are the biggest challenges. I think, again, going back to the reflection of our society and community, I think naturally within any community, poverty is a challenge, and I guess diverse needs within our community, everything filters through our high school. Like I said, every kid has a right to an education. Everybody comes to our school. So if you can imagine, one of the challenges is trying to kind of manage that and trying to make sure that everyone's getting what they need or what they need. So it's hard to explain, but within a school under one roof, you're just trying to make sure that people are getting what they need and getting ready for what's next. But just those, things like poverty and our economy right now and uncertainty, all that stuff plays into
So does
the
that
school day.
does that translate into needing more teachers, more free food? What would be the practical?
Sometimes, yeah, it's stuff like that, or various programs. Sometimes it might be, complex needs within our school. Sometimes, it is access to food. I know our region has done a very good job of making sure, or school materials, right?
Okay.
People have been in a pinch financially. Okay, SRC is going to provide school materials. Okay, food. I think the province and even our region, we're not on the school lunch program, but we're told you're not going to see somebody go hungry, right?
Right.
We will get somebody lunch, and we have systems in place to provide that. So these are first world challenges. Another thing I thought of is we are a big school, and I listed different programs. We have French immersion, we have Gaelic, we have our skilled trades, we have our options and opportunity, we have our IB. So with all of those programs, and then your kind of regular academic streams, with all of those programs, being a big high school, it is hard to sometimes schedule the perfect match. You might have a child that wants IB, but they also want the skilled trades. That's hard to do.
Yeah, that's impossible. Yeah.
Impossible, right? So, but
doing everything for everyone.
Yeah,
is difficult. Okay.
but I want Gaelic and I want,
Right.
this. So we are a big school, but you're constrained by schedules and the number of teachers you have, and so we make
Just
it work.
on that, I think two things that often you hear in the school system. Especially people coming from global south, where the content is very important. The volume of content is very important.
Right.
And they often come with a worry that, the schools here are not rigorous enough or not providing enough challenge.
Yeah.
That is one. And the second related one is often the critical thinking and pedagogy at the high school level. And IB obviously is designed otherwise, but what do you say about those pedagogical and content issues?
I'm going to be biased, but I am confident that is being well addressed within our school, and that is within our IB programs. But I would say it's in most of our courses. I'd even go as far as to say, I was going to bring up some of our fundraising endeavors, the critical thinking skills and some of the things that's not always taught right there in the classroom. When you put a kid in a situation, the efforts it takes to raise, $50,000, there's some skills that are being involved in that endeavor, especially when it's led by students.
And students get okay.
They're led by students. There's staff that are overseeing it, but the students are putting it on. Those are I think invaluable learning opportunities for some of our kids, right? That I think that sometimes get missed. But I know that there are. I'll also say that I am confident, though. We have enough programs that can meet the, I guess, rigor that people are looking for and asking for. And if not, then maybe they have to find something extra. Right. But
here's a out of left field question. I'm curious as to how the school board or nationally the curricula is being looked at to address specifically the current geopolitical zeitgeist that we're in, where addressing things like misinformation and disinformation and critical thinking as it pertains to online content that's filled.
Just put it on him. Let's say, Cory, can you solve that problem now?
People talk a lot about this, and there are some countries that in their curricula they work on spotting disinformation and critical thinking as it pertains to that. Yeah. Is that something that's trickled down into the system at the high school now, or is that in somebody thinking about adding that component?
Well, I think you're going to find critical thinking, let's say critical thinking skills. I think that's embedded already within our current curriculums, and you would find teachers covering that. As far as the big picture, nationally and provincially, are people paying attention to it more? Probably, especially with misinformation, AI. But I think, again, it is currently being covered. You could open up some of our curriculums and you're going to find critical thinking is right there. It's more prevalent in some courses more than others, but I feel like it's being covered.
I think what Justin is saying, what we are wanting you to do is prepare a whole generation that will take care of all this work.
Yeah, could you please figure that out by next spring?
Yes, exactly. Sorry to put that on you.
That's a complex
I think we're in a good spot. I think.
I agree. And that's more of almost a national question than it is.
I agree.
Our local. What is our local high school doing?
Do I have time for one more question?
One more question. That's it, and then we're out of here.
Sorry. Your building, your infrastructure.
Yep.
And it's greenery or not, green side. How would you say where you are on that?
It's an old building.
I'm just curious.
Yeah. I know. It's an old building. I will say that. So sometimes with older buildings, the efficiency is maybe not completely there. But I know that we've had lots of tests, and the building is solid. In my mind, I thought, maybe we need a new school. But after giving some tours to people from other places, they're like, this is a beautiful school. And then you sometimes you don't realize what you have. But the greenery, I believe we're running off oils. It's a big building, so it's a big building. Heat, it'd be similar to some of the big buildings on St. FX campus. We do have a SAGE committee that's an environmental committee that oversees a few things. We definitely have our composting and recycling and all that done. We got that down pretty good. Again, some of our classrooms are involved in that. I'm trying to think of what else. In terms of building.
And as you think about the answer, half another question. a lot of community members are looking for more community spaces.
Yeah.
And we are just running out of spaces. And some of us are able to use spaces like schools, all schools.
Yeah.
How do you kind of...
We're very open. Like we offer stained glass. Driver's Ed uses our building, so we're pretty. I'll say we're good with our community to access to the building. I will say, like space like our gym, it's busy. When we're in sports season and we have like 6-8 teams running, that gym is booked from 2:30 to 9-10 o'clock at night. But outside of the gym, we open up our building to if anyone calls and they need a room for something that's going to be beneficial for the community.
What number should one call if they need to?
Or you can go through county recreation. Because I book a lot of things through the junior school, the high school. You can go right through county recreation. They will be able. They have a whole system, and you can book spaces. And the high school is part of that.
Yeah. The junior school is more through the recreation. We're a little different, but I will tell you, maybe a lot of people don't know this, but they look at our school and they see the wonderful fields that we have, and we do have wonderful fields. Like we have a turf field, we have multiple ball fields. Those are owned by the town. But
I played soccer on those fields.
Yeah, somebody is playing cricket there.
I see cricket now too. Yeah, but that's a good partnership. Obviously, during the day we have access, but sometimes there's conflicts. But like you step, off the sidewalk at Dr. John Hugh Gillis, and that's not school property.
I didn't know that.
So that's some people. Yeah, they don't realize that we have great fields, but they're not necessarily ours. But
right. And
we do have a good partnership though with the town.
Yeah, and there's the Muniber Theater, which it hosts different events there, not just school-only functions. So that is available.
And that is owned or managed by not the school.
It's part of the high school.
Oh yeah, it's right in the middle of the Elmer Muniber Theater. It's right in the center of our school. It's a hub. But yeah, like Music of the Night, puts their yearly show on.
And I think the Kokolov Alcorn show is there.
Yeah,
that's coming up next week.
So yeah, we're happy to if we can provide a space for the community, we're always open.
How does it feel to be a principal of this legacy school?
Well, I will say I do feel I'm very privileged. I lived in this town. I went to school there, but never in my life did I dream like, I want to be the principal of this school. No, that was never a thought in my mind. So, and I know a lot of people here just naturally. My family's from here, and I went here. So I do feel a sense of like pride and privilege to be the principal of the school. Sometimes I forget I am, but you walk around town or any store, I see like 10, 12 students anywhere. But I do take it very seriously, and it's an honor. I feel like it's an important position because it is it's an important part of this community. So, and again, in the run of a day, you've got 800 students, you've got staff, and you got to make sure people are enjoying where they want to come. So I feel like, that's part of my job. You're making a safe, welcoming work environment or school environment. Like that I feel like that's on me. Like, we're a team, but a big part of that,
the buck stops at you.
Yeah, it's like I can't look around and say, I'm the person that has to help with that. So I do take it seriously. I do want to say though, I do want to thank folks. I have the opportunity here. Just thank our staff, thank our students, because I think we do have a phenomenal school. I enjoy showing up to work every day. Said every day is an adventure. It's a busy spot, but it's a great place to work. So. And also too, like thank our community partners. Like the community gets behind our school too. Like we have a lot of our graduates, for example. There's a lot of scholarship money out there that's provided by members of this community and organizations, and we feel well supported by the community. So I say thank you to them. So.
Yeah, and Anuj, we can talk about Cory while he's still in the room. I'll say that I've heard from teachers, from staff, and from a lot of parents that Cory is really kicking butt as far as principal stuff goes.
In a good way or in a bad way?
In a good way. Engaged really in listening to people and
problems.
From
where I come, kicking butt is not a...
this is a good kind of butt kicking.
Okay.
Winning. #winning at Principal Life.
Congratulations.
Doing a great job. So I've heard a lot of great
coming.
things about you we've never met before, but I'll say congratulations on somehow making parents and teachers happy at the same time, which seems an impossible task for a
and we'll have to come back and listen to some of the other stuff that we haven't touched upon.
Yeah, I mean, I know I had all these things you prepare to say, but the conversation goes quick.
Yeah.
I know, and we're already at 50 minutes plus.
But you are here, we are here. I think, we'll get back.
Yeah, sure. Anytime. It was, like I said, thank you so much.
Yeah,
It's a
thanks
privilege.
for coming today.
Thank
And
you.
head back to school. The kids are still there.
Did the bell ring yet?
Thank you for listening to Let's Talk Antigonish. If you like the podcast, don't hesitate to subscribe. Just go to letstalkantigonish.ca and click. Voila! You'll receive new episodes right in your email inbox.
This podcast is a labor of love. Please consider making a contribution, small or large. Maybe a monthly subscription. Depending on the level of public support, we would like to engage local producers and journalists to create more regular deep dive news stories about life here in Antigonish.
Right now, it's just Anuj and I doing this in our free time. You can read all about the podcast and ways to support us at letstalkantigonish.ca. And if you're a local business that wants to sponsor the podcast or even place an audio ad, we are certainly not opposed. A huge thank you to all of our subscribers and especially our paid subscribers, which have helped us to buy the audio equipment that we needed to get this thing off the ground. And remember to get in touch with us if you have an idea for a future episode or a burning question about life in Antigonish that you want us to explore and get answers to. We welcome all feedback. Just email us at letstalkantigonish@gmail.com. Let's talk, Antigonish.